Hi there, it's Kathleen here, and welcome to The Gathering, bringing God into everyday life. Let me encourage you to not just listen, but partner with God and practice what He speaks to you. You can access more information about me, my newspaper articles, upcoming events, contact me, or purchase my book, Thriving Through Seasons of Grief, on my website at www.kathleenmaxwell-rambie.com. This podcast is now in 28 countries, and people have donated so that you can listen free. Will you consider paying it forward for someone else by giving a one-time or monthly gift? Simply click the button that says Become a Patron or Patronage at the top of the podcast. And don't forget to click the like or follow, and you'll be the first to know when new episodes are released. Enjoy the podcast.
Well, thanks so much for joining me today for the gathering. And I've got just a special topic to help those of you that are perhaps going through maybe one of your first holidays without someone you love. Perhaps it's been a while since you lost a loved one, but the holidays can still be challenging. And I want to just give you some tips. And I come to you as someone who's worked in ministry and social work for several decades. I come to you as a wife, mother. I've been a caregiver, a widow, just had a lot of loss in a short amount of time. And most of all, though, I come to you as somebody who just is passionate about bringing God into our everyday life. And what does He have to say? And how do we navigate these holidays and the grief that we're feeling? And why are they so hard? So we're going to do a deep dive into some of that. And I'm going to give you some things to just help you through. The holidays, can be just so stressful for anyone because we just got a lot to do. Even this week, I've had just numerous things I've had to get done, and that is sometimes challenging, even when you're at your best. But when you add a loss, and I will say that I lost my mom on December the 6th of 2012. And so here it was right before a holiday. I had recently lost my husband and was still recuperating and trying to move forward from that. And then here was Mom, and we had just received news that Dad only had a couple of months to live, 15 hours before Mother passed away. So I do have a little bit of experience in this area, and for anybody, though, that has lost a loved one, the holidays are stressful for many different reasons. And one of them being there's so many memories that are tied to holidays, just so many. And I was widowed at 49, and then shortly after losing my husband, lost both of my parents. I had been overseeing their care. And they were pretty fragile even before my husband got a rare cancer and was gone in 9 months. But my first tip for you, as the holidays, just Christmas is around the corner, New Year's is right after that, is, the holidays, the tip is embrace the pain. Embrace the pain. And you may be saying, well, Kathleen, what do you mean? Well, there again, so many memories bring up grief and emotions that perhaps have been swept under the carpet and under the surface for a number of years. And these memories can be painful as we remember what we had and we can't recreate it anymore. And sometimes we don't even think about that, especially if you've had a loss in July or April or another part of the year. I think sometimes the holidays can kind of sideswipe you with that. But we have so many. I know we had a lot of traditions and things. And when my late husband was gone, things have just changed. Things have just changed. But the memories, can come up during the holiday season. And as we embrace the pain, what we're doing is admitting that our heart is broken. We may have on a face the rest of the year, but here we are, those special moments, those special family times, particularly, that it just makes it hard. But when we admit, okay, my heart is broken, I do have a reason to cry. I don't want to cry, especially in front of people, you might say, but how do I do it? And we live in a society where, many people don't want to admit that their heart hurts, and they want to appear to have it all together. And what I have found is, in our great pain and honesty, Jesus meets us right where we're at. And he does that because he was sent to bind up the brokenhearted. So let me just encourage you, if the tears start to roll, cry, embrace the pain, because grief is the price of love. And if you've loved deeply, you've loved well, you've loved a long time, you really have given your all, it just makes it, grief is the price of love. And Jesus understands. He cried when Lazarus died, and in John 11:35, God promises to heal our pain in Psalm 147:3, and it reads, He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. But Jesus understands your pain. He cried when his friend died. And he also, it promises us and tells us in Psalm 147 that he heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. It also says that in Isaiah 61. So, embrace the pain. Don't run from it. Don't run from it, because you have an opportunity to partner with God in your healing. And for me, I know, I remember one time being at a restaurant, and I was working with another woman. She was young, she was vibrant, and she was getting married, and she was asking me some questions, and we were also planning a holiday event. And she asked me a question, and I went to answer it. And when I did, I said, when I was married, and all of a sudden I stopped. And the tears just began to roll. And she said, oh my word, are you okay? And I said, yeah, I guess I just hadn't said those words when I was married. And I don't know what words I had said, but it was the way I said it, it just really brought home that I really wasn't married. Now, cognitively, I knew that, but in some ways, perhaps I had pushed it back, just because I was dealing with so much. So, anyway, moving on. Tip number 2, remember that you are not alone. You may feel alone, you may feel lonely, but you're not alone. And in my dark days of grief, the Christmas season was really difficult because I just didn't feel like celebrating. And, the man I had spent the majority of my holidays with, and my parents, the people that made the holidays special and fun were gone. And, the first year that Joe was gone, first few years that followed, I could just celebrate that God was with us. Emmanuel, we sing the Christmas carol, Emmanuel, and it means God with us. And he's worth celebrating. The fact that he was worthy to be praised, he was worthy to be honored, and that I was never alone, was very comforting in the midst of that. Matthew 1:23 tells us, it says, a virgin will conceive and give birth to a son, and they will call him Emmanuel, which means God with us. Isn't that a beautiful passage? So what you can celebrate is that you're never alone. And just remember that, Emmanuel, we hear it on the radio, we hear it, maybe even sing it, and I love it. It's one of my favorite carols. Tip number 3, rest. And you may say, how on earth do I do that? I'm working, I'm trying to buy presents, I've got, events to go to. Well, the holidays again are challenging because when you're grieving, you're just exhausted. You are expending emotional energy, and emotional pain wears you out. So be kind to yourself and allow yourself time to rest. You may not be able to go to quite as many events and things. You may have to ground yourself because it's just important to get your rest. None of us handle things well when we're tired. And I've learned that rest is a weapon, and I had to get rest to be the best version of myself. Tip number 4, create new memories. I just want to make a statement, and you may want to write this one down. Normal as you know it is gone. And that was a hard pill for me to swallow, but it was a fact. That first Christmas, Joe died on October the 8th, and so Thanksgiving was around the corner and Christmas, and my kids came and just said, Mom, we don't want to come home for Christmas. It's just too painful right now. They were all adults and living on their own, and have one in college, but the other 2 were adults, but nobody wanted to come home, and that was hard too because I'd always made our home just a place of fun and laughter, and the house was all decorated, and the fact that they didn't want to come home, it was painful for me. But that year I quickly had to make a new plan, and it was a good thing. It just gave our hearts time to rest and gave us time to be together without all of the hullabaloo, and all the things you have to do to make Christmas special. And so that year we rented a condo and we went to Cabo San Lucas, and we created a new memory, and it helped us to adjust to our new normal. And we did, just some different things for a few years with holidays because it was just what we needed to do. Now everybody loves coming back to the home where my kids do, where they grew up, and where so many memories are tied. We're a little bit further down the road. Joe has been gone now 15 years. So create a new memory. It's okay to do something different and lay down your traditions for a while you figure out just what your new normal is. Tip number 5, share your holiday in a different way. And what I mean by that is honor your loved one. Honoring your loved one is important. And, you can do that with your family or by yourself. I would really advise you to allow yourself some private time in the morning of a holiday to process your pain. And I think that's very beneficial when you've had some time to just really embrace the pain, but honor your loved one in a different way. One of the things I would do is, those first few years would write a letter, Dear Joe, I really miss you today because, and I would just pour out and I would journal about it. And that was so helpful because sometimes as I would do that and just get started, it would just flow. And things that were really in my subconsciousness or in my heart began to come out. And I think that's so important. That first year after losing my dad on Father's Day, I did the same thing. I wrote him a letter and just told him how grateful I was and all that I missed about him. So allow yourself some time to process. This is what I missed particularly this year. This is what I wanted to do with you this year, and now I can't. But I'm so grateful for all the years we got to go to the San Antonio Riverwalk. Those are just some things. So somehow do little things that allow you to honor your loved one, and celebrate in a different way. So you can celebrate the love you have and what you had and the number of years that you have. That can also be done on an anniversary of the death or the anniversary. We have so many things that we have to grieve. And I think it's important to take our pain and take what we miss and ask the Lord to carry our sorrow. The next tip I want to give you, number 6, is initiate connection and make a plan. That first New Year's Eve without my husband, we had always done stuff in couples. I didn't really have a plan, and I made a new one. I called somebody that was divorced, and I said, hey, how about let's, go to dinner, then we can come back and hang out at my house. And I had to initiate connection. So many times, and I've seen this happen over and over, widows sit back and they just wait for somebody to ask them. But sometimes you have to make a new plan. So let me encourage you to do that. And I felt so lost. I felt insecure. The holidays can make you vulnerable. But let me encourage you to step out of your comfort zone and invite and initiate connection. Maybe connect with people you've never connected with before, or somebody they're kind of fun. Maybe they'd want to go do something. But get a different plan, and it'll help your heart. Just having a plan will help your heart feel a little more secure. Tip number 7, diffuse the awkwardness. When I was with friends or family, and I would just break down and cry, and a wave would just hit me all of a sudden, and I would just miss what I had. I got to where I let the tears roll. And if somebody said something or did something, or a Christmas carol came on and it reminded me of a special time we had. My birthday is actually December 17th, so it's coming up. And so I have a lot of memories tied to especially Christmas and just how we celebrated my birthday and Christmas and all the things. And, sometimes when I was with friends or family and something would trigger the pain and I would cry, I began to get very comfortable with just saying, I'm okay. People usually are more uncomfortable than you are, believe it or not, because they want to fix it. They want to do something, and really there's not a lot they can do. And I just needed a moment to cry. And that's what I would say. Just give me a minute. I need a moment to cry. Or I'm going to step outside. I just need a moment. And I would also say I've had a great loss. And acknowledge that. Most of the time, people are more uncomfortable than you are, like I said. So ease their pain, and it can diffuse that awkwardness. And I wish, as I wrap up, I wish I could take your pain away during the holiday season. But I ask the Lord to touch your tender heart and bring healing to it. Jesus came to give us hope and to bind up the brokenhearted. And my prayer is that Emmanuel himself would make himself real to you this Christmas and holiday season. I'm going to close with just a prayer for you. Lord, you see the tender hearts. You see the people that are listening. You see the days that are ahead for us. And so, Father, I ask that in your grace, your love, your mercy, that you wrap your arms around each broken heart. God, that there be a new wave and a new layer of healing in their hearts. And thank you for sending Emmanuel that's always with us and binds up the brokenhearted. And so I just proclaim liberty to those that have been grieving and great grace this holiday season. In Jesus' name, amen. Hey, thanks so much for listening. I really, really appreciate it. If you enjoy this podcast, you can share it. Please like it. That is so helpful in getting, the news out. And if you want to make a contribution to keep this ministry and this podcast going, I would certainly appreciate it. Have a wonderful week, and God bless.